It's not very often you get to interview three amazing men, all from the one sport spanning over 65 years. And to do that, I'm up here at the Stein Eriksen Lodge in Deer Valley, Utah, and those three amazing men are no other than multi-Olympic medalist Stein Eriksen, Paralympian Jeffrey Denny, and triple Olympic gold medalist Ted Ligety. Well, welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for allowing me the time to sit here and be part of your journey and the history that the three of you have made for our incredible sport here. Stein, it's documented that you revolutionised the alpine skiing. How do you feel when you hear those words, revolutionised the world of skiing?
Oh boy, I feel so good. No, because I think I added a new discovery to alpine skiing.
Mm-hmm.
I was a gymnast for 7 years.
That's right.
During the last World War, and 3 years later, that's how my flip on the skis came about, by accident.
By accident? Do you think being a gymnast actually helped you?
Oh no, what do you mean? Of course.
Obviously.
Yeah, no, let me tell you why. Because you're talking about revolutionized alpine skiing, that I am kind of the father of it. I appreciate the compliment, but let me tell you what I did. My gymnastic background. Father was a gymnast, he was on the Olympic Norwegian team, he was a ski jumper. So being a gymnast, I developed a movement in my lower body that's almost independent from the upper body. So when I approached the turn, I didn't let the curve allow to delay my turn for the next turn. I let my skis flow in the same line.
That's what made you impressive.
Well, yeah, and you know, then you develop some kind of a style that doesn't look so strenuous. You look like more of a fluid motion.
Of course.
But during the racing years, I think I had enough discipline in my mind to ski safely, but give it all.
Stein did things that no one had tried before. He brought flips and tricks to the world of skiing and transformed the way skiers move, creating fluid motion between man and skis seen today. Jeffrey Denny was a professional skier in training for the Sochi Games. He also volunteered for the NAC, but little did he know the organisation would be returning the favour after he lost his leg in a tragic ski accident. Jessica Hilton from the NAC discussed the rehabilitation Jeffrey was put through.
I met Jeffrey 2 years after he had already been involved with our centre. He had first gotten to know our organisation while he was actually serving at our gala. We had gotten wind that one of the servers had ended up in an accident and was most likely going to be losing his leg. And so a group of our team members from the National Ability Centre and on the Alpine team thought that it would be a great opportunity to go and meet him in his bed at the hospital and say, it's okay, you may have been a skier, but you can still be a skier, and we want to help you.
Jeffrey opened up about this accident in 2012 and the misfortune that disrailed his dreams of going to the Olympics. Your life took a dramatic change in 2012.
Yes.
Tell us about that, exactly what happened.
So I was just skiing a Bluebird day with a bunch of friends in the spring at the Canyon Ski Resort here in Park City, and just lost an edge on a blue groomer, and the run went just sharp left. And at that moment, I just went straight off the run into a tree, hit my leg and just shattered it beyond repair. But then my leg is taken off of me, and I never imagined that either.
When were you told that you were actually going to lose your leg?
When I came out of surgery and it was gone.
The leg was gone?
Yeah, it wasn't there. And that's crazy news to have happen. You know, you're this, in your mind, you're like, I'm going to the Olympics someday, and I had, you know, dreams of being a gold medalist, but this injury, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, all right, I don't have a leg, what does that mean for skiing? Where am I headed? And you meet guys that are in wheelchairs and they're sit skiers and they're just phenomenal athletes. And I'm like, well, I'm missing a leg, and that's, I don't even know how to describe that, but...
Don't you think it's still quite an achievement to become a Paralympian in snowboarding?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's talented guys out there, and you know, we're seeing that people are crossing the bridge to become from Paralympian to a real Olympian, and I don't know if that would happen to me, but when you're older, it's not about being an Olympian or being a gold medalist. You know, it's like, it's the love of the sport. I live in Park City, Utah, which is amazing because I was a skier. It took me here, and I got to meet Stein Eriksen, Ted Ligety, and you know, we're all in the sport as one, but I never thought it would change me. It made me just who I am today.
Thanks to his great NAC coaches and this really cool carbon fibre leg, Jeffrey got back up on the hill. Coming up next, I'll be talking to Ted about his road to the Olympics and how his family inspired him to follow his dreams. I learned quickly that all three of these amazing athletes had one thing in common, and that is discipline. After hearing about Jeffrey's tragedy, I asked gold medalist Ted Ligety about how he blocks out the fear.
I'm a super competitive person, so it's pretty easy for me to really be driven to prepare myself every day. It's something that really drives me. I think, you know, what's going through my head when I'm racing is nothing really. I'm just kind of in the zone and trying to go as hard as I can, and every time I work out and I don't really want to be in there, I think about how much I hate losing and how somebody else out there is trying to get better to beat me as well, so I better be into doing those workouts. In Olympics, there's definitely a lot more pressure just because it's every 4 years and there's so much more media attention, there's just so much more going on, so it's just a lot harder to kind of get in your zone and compete at your highest level, but I think, you know, it definitely kind of hones you in on being faster at the same time.
Ted, how do you block out the fear?
I think it's just a process of getting used to it over time. And when I was a little kid, we'd, you know, send ourselves off jumps and, you know, hammer as fast as we could down mogul courses. And I just think just like, you know, recalibrating your sense of what's scary, I think was, you know, important to do from a young age. So, you know, there's definitely times, you know, the first time I raced Kitzbühel, I was really, really scared. You know, at the same time, you know, if you've done the right preparation, I don't think it's quite as scary, but, you know, there's always that, that little fear factor, especially in some of those, you know, gnarlier downhills out there.
Discipline. That's a pretty strong word across many sports. Ted, in 2006, you really started to taste your success. Did you think you would be here with gold medals? Quite an amazing skier for America, if not the world.
I think, you know, if you told me in 2006 or if you told me when I was 10 years old or the day before the Olympics in 2006 that I'd be where I am today, I think I probably would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
It's definitely been a surprise. I mean, I always had the drive to be where I am. You know, I always had the goals to win Olympic gold medals, and you know, now I have 2 Olympic gold medals and I won a bunch of discipline titles.
Do you notice how he just has a bunch of gold medals?
Yeah.
He's quite flippant with it, Stein, don't you think? A bunch of gold medals. Ted, you were saying at 10 that, did you really think at 10 you would be representing for the Olympics? Did you have that thought?
That was, of course, the goal. You know, I really wanted to become a you know, Olympic ski racer or a world championship ski racer.
I can't remember what I wanted to do at 10. I can't even remember being 10.
I mean, at the same time, I wanted to be the point guard for the Utah
Exactly.
Jazz. So it wasn't like that was my only goal. I wanted to be, you know, a professional, a bunch of different sports, and heart surgeon or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
There's a lot of different goals, but definitely ski racing was my biggest passion at the time, and you know, obviously still is. So I mean, that was definitely the thing that I put most of my energy towards. Yeah, Torino, I was just, you know, super psyched on the experience and being in the Olympics and, you know, being a rookie. You know, I was only 21 years old, and, you know, I joke with some of the older guys on the team that were, you know, married and had kids almost and stuff like that. And here I was, 21, and just my first Olympics, and I was just psyched to be there. And, you know, I was skiing really well at the time, and I just let myself ski as hard as I could, and I was lucky enough to have it equal out a gold medal in the combined.
Ted's long list of accomplishments proves his perseverance over the years. Along with an athlete's dedication to their sport comes the commitment and support of their families. All 3 athletes talk about how their families influence their successful careers.
Stein, I just want to go back to something else that you were quoted as saying, be tough, be confident, but you will never be a whole and happy person if you aren't humble. What keeps you humble?
Well, that came from home. Mother was a humble, wonderful woman, beautiful woman, president of the Norwegian Ski Association for ladies, but always a smile and with the pleasure having a privilege to live in the surroundings that we lived in.
Jeffrey, coming from a ski family, was there pressure on you to take it up as a professional sport?
Like my dad never made me become a ski jumper. He just introduced me to it, and it was fun. And you know, I played soccer and baseball and did other sports with all my friends. But ultimately, I mean, I knew what my family did, and like Stein says, you know, family is very important and definitely helps your drive. And I was never afraid of like living up to what they did. It was more like I wanted to be that. I want to go to the Olympics. I want to be a world champion. I want to compete at the tourney. You know, you're just like, man, you're surrounded by amazing people that have the passion that you have, and it just, that pushes you, is to have that, and people that came from families that skied. And you know, you don't have to be the best family in the world, the greatest ski family, but family's important, and it just helps you go, and that's passion.
Did you ever expect, as a young kid, to become a gold medalist, or did your goal and aim was to become one?
I did. I dreamt about it. I had plenty of dreams about being a gold medalist, and I believed I could have the world record in ski jumping. I thought I was going to be the first person to go over 250 meters. I didn't make it there yet, but you know, prosthetics are getting better.
Even heroes have to find inspiration to achieve greatness. After the break, the athletes will talk about their own idols and what it takes to be an Olympic champion. I wanted to find out what really inspires an Olympic athlete and how do they deal with the pressures of high-stakes competition.
I mean, there's a lot of really big heroes in our sport. Tommy Moe was probably my first big hero. He won the gold medal in Lillehammer in the downhill and silver in the Super G, and that was the first year I was really ski racing, so that was definitely a big inspiration. And then having the World Cup here in Park City, I was able to watch guys like Alberto Tomba and Chatil Andre Amat, and those guys, you know, were my big heroes for sure when I was growing up.
What about you, Stein? Who did you look up to for inspiration when you were skiing?
I looked up like this. No, I tell you, I had a few heroes in Norway that I looked forward to meet. Some of them were gone, some of them were still active, and I saw the great pleasure that they had of performing. And they were good losers too, but also beautiful winners. But if you give everything you have, and you have been in a gold medal range before, and then start tapering off, you have to do it because you love the sport. Maybe you will look out again, but not let it get to your mind that it ruins the whole beauty of the thing that you learned to love as a kid.
Ted, what is the difference in pressure between Olympics and World Cup competition?
The pressure in the Olympics is definitely orders of magnitude bigger.
Just a little, maybe?
Just a little. You know, the Olympics only happens once every 4 years. You know, there's World Cups every weekend. Yeah, any way you cut it, the Olympics are such a big deal. You know, it's such a big event. It's it has so much history to it. You know, it's such a cool thing to be a part of, and you know, it's once every 4 years. And in ski racing, it's a far from guaranteed thing if you're the best in the world. You know, it's not like swimming or running where if you're the world record holder, you're probably going to win. In ski racing, I think I was actually the only favorite that actually won this Olympics. So, you know, there's that much more pressure added onto it too.
With the Olympics only coming around every 4 years, I wanted to understand the drive that it requires to push through the pressure and succeed in such a pivotal moment in their careers.
You don't think that I have to win this race? That doesn't go through your mind?
You would like to win it. I think every competition I wanted to win.
Nobody's ever owed a win, that's for sure. You know, it's something you got to work for, and it's, you know, there's a lot of different people that deserve it as well. So you're never owed a win, that's for sure.
Oh, you had it all.
And even like you expect, you know, like he said, going to the Olympics expecting a medal, you know, it's once every 4 years. I'm sure you have lots of events that you blow out of the gates and you're done that day. You're dead last, and because you didn't finish. you could do that in the Olympics, and you know this is your
You're
once every
done.
4 years, and you just lost your gold medal because of the conditions, or you just did the turn wrong, or you just lost an edge.
How do you get past that?
You don't think about it.
10 seconds. It could be a mistake from the start. How do you, and knowing that it's going to be 4 years before you get another crack.
Yeah.
I think you have to have a little bit of nonchalance about the result-oriented side of things, you know? You can't be too worried about that. I mean, when I was in the start gate for the GS, you know, I was like, if I win, you know, awesome, that's sweet, but if I don't win, it's not going to change anything really, you know? It's like, it's just an opportunity, you know? When something like the Olympics or any race really, you know, you're going from not having the medal that day, and you could get a medal that day. But if you don't get a medal that day, you're still where you started off at the beginning of the day. So it's not like, you know, it's some big disaster if you don't win.
It would be to
No,
me.
but you know, I think for somebody it is almost a disaster.
Yeah.
That is called a bad sportsmanship.
Yeah.
But if you do a little mistake and you know you did a mistake and you get third place, I'm going to remember that mistake, and that one is not going to happen again, and I'm going to do
Yeah.
better next time.
Yep.
In 4 years.
Oh, yeah. The first time I was on a Norwegian team was in '52, and I was then, oh God, 23 years old, 24, 22. And I was on the team, and we came to the FIS races in Aspen, Colorado in 1952. And I saw that downhill, and I said, wow, am I going to go down there? I've never seen a downhill like that. And we ran a slalom, and I happened to have the fastest run in the first run. And I was so shocked and so surprised, I didn't know what was going on. And I had a decent run in the second run, but my first international competition, meeting the whole world and racing against the whole world, and having the fastest run in the first run, just made my turns in the second run, and I got the bronze medal for the first time. And I said, oh, bronze medal. These signs in my mind, maybe a little bit better next time. So an incentive to try better, maybe better next time, maybe next time, maybe next time.
When we come back, the father of alpine skiing will be telling me and you about the original skis and how skis have evolved over the years. I asked Stein to show us the difference between how skis were made when he was an Olympian compared to modern day.
And I almost got disqualified for being an amateur or being a professional because my name was on the ski. But since the father, our livelihood was made by manufacturing skis, they let me go to the World Championships in '54 in Sweden. And they never should have, because I got 3 gold medals. So I got that on my father's skis. And I didn't make 1 penny from 1950 to 1955 on skiing. As a matter of fact, the way I made a living was to put the steel edges on the skis. I had to router it out, drill the holes, put 1 edge on at a time, smooth them out to the file, and make them extra sharp under the foot plate.
Could you imagine skiing on these, Ted?
I actually kind of want to do it sometime just for an experience. Let's strap on the leather boots, but it sounds extremely difficult relative to today, that's for sure, and really scary too.
But I made a lot of money doing it. I got $1.50 a pair. And
Yeah, it's
you had
tough
to
work. Nowadays we have a machine that we just has like a little spinning blade that just
Yeah.
tunes up our skis.
And the
it's-
person doing it gets paid $20 an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like-
And I have somebody doing it for me, so definitely a lot's changed, that's for sure.
It's obvious to everyone that sponsorship is really important for sport. Obviously, back when you were skiing, there really wasn't sponsorship, Stein.
There was no sponsorship at all. When you get $1.50 for one in the steel edges on skis and you make $9 for $10 a day, work all morning, afternoon, just to be able to kind of
Get going.
have a little candy after races.
Because I would imagine it'd be even more pressure, Ted, when you have those major sponsors, to keep performing at that level and getting them the recognition that they are paying you to get.
It's definitely added pressure having sponsors, but at the same time, they allow you to pursue your sport at the highest level. You know, I'm lucky enough to make a really good living in my sport, but that means I can dedicate myself 100% to it.
They say when you come to Utah for a holiday, it's in you, it's in your blood. From then on, you either move here or it becomes part of your yearly holiday. That's the plan. We're lucky enough to be sitting up here at the Stein Eriksen Lodge. Do you ever think, Stein, that you would have a lodge named after you when you started skiing?
I never thought I had a name that should be recognized to the extent that it does now. But that is because Americans in a certain worship of champions. But just the whole attitude coming to this country inspired me to come back, to come back, to come back. And there is something from the inside. I mean, you go to other places, very competitive. You don't really acquaint it that easily with the world as you do with the people in this country.
I think, Stein, being from another country myself, I think America and Americans love to associate with champions and people who excel, because I think they find them inspirational. They find them someone that you can look up to.
They inspire you to go on with what you're doing.
I can live that dream. I can get to my dream.
It's truly amazing to see how far skiing has come over the years. Stein Eriksen has really changed the skiing world by pushing athletes to be sleeker, faster, and work harder to be the best. I asked Stein what he thinks it really takes to be a champion.
What would you say, Stein, to someone who wants to become an Olympic skier? What would be your advice?
Number one, it has to come from childhood and from the inside of you and the people around you. It has to be a desire on the friendship basis with the competition as friends. Unless you have the open personality and the freedom in your mind to go for it, if anything is going to restrict you for doing it, your background, your parents, unless your mind is completely clear, you don't want to go 80 miles an hour just wondering what's going to happen to me. You have to have complete freedom. You have to be a happy person. No, it's a beautiful blessing to see the enjoyment that when you're hooked on something that is good, it is such a privilege for the rest of your life to see how people react to a guy like this or a guy like this, how they act with a certain amount of respect, a certain amount of mellowness. If you can take a loss the same way as you take a victory, then you're a champion.
To me, you know, legends never die. You'll get a lot of heroes that come, but Stein Eriksen is a legend because people are going to remember him years from now with that classic style, throwing these flips, you know, cover of Time magazine throwing a laid out front flip. People like that don't come around too often, and when they do, they never get forgotten.